Okay, so let's go ahead and work through this quiz. Three principles of designing experiments are to control, randomize, and replicate. Which of the following statement is not true about these important principles? Let's look at this first one. Randomizing individuals into groups is one component to prevent accidental bias from creeping into a study. Absolutely, that's true, right? We'd like to randomize it. That way we don't have any of these variables getting in the way. Let's look at B. We can generalize the result of the study to a greater population, so long as we randomize which patients go into which study groups. Well, remember what we said about observations versus experiments. So what they're talking about here is a study. We're talking about observations. So any kind of study, depends if it's an observation or an experiment. So because if it's an observation, we can't always do this. An experiment, sure, but observation not necessarily. So it looks like it's going to be B. And just let's go over these other two as well. Using a control group with a placebo is important, otherwise folks in the control group may behave differently than those in the treatment group. Absolutely. If you're receiving some sort of experimental blood pressure medication, if you don't get a pill, you must not be getting any medication, right? So, of course, you're going to behave differently. And then this last one, considering controlling more variables and planning an experiment helps ensure the study group is similar to the other study groups. And of course that's true, right? So you have two options. You could, can try to control for more variables or just randomize. Both of these are effective. So it looks like B's, we cannot do this for observation groups. So that's the answer we're looking for here. Okay, let's go ahead and start. We've got, looking at the second one, we got this factor control worker who wants to go ahead and find the mean of these defective items, the mean of the percentage defective. So you just take all of your data here, 2, 1.4, 4, 3, and 2.2, and we're asked to find the mean. So don't worry about the percentages, we're just finding the mean here. So you add all of these things up and divide by the total. That gives us our mean. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. We would divide by 5. So on the top, what we end up having is 12.6 divided by 5 gives us 2.52. Let's move on to the second one. Okay, for the second one, we're given some data. Let me use this one. 1, 4, 5, 6, and 9. And we're asked to find the IQR. Remember that the IQR is just the third quartile minus the first quartile. So, how do we find it? First, you find the median. Median here is 5, right? This becomes a split value. So we want to look at everything that lies below it and everything that lies above it. So here we have 1 plus 4. There's no middle here, right? So we have to find the average here. Right? We would originally find the median here, but there's not there. So we add these up and divide by 2. This is our Q1. So our Q1 is actually 5 over 2, or 2.5. What about our Q3? Same idea here. We've got 6 and a 9. There is no middle. So we take these two numbers, add them up, and divide by 2. Close enough to the middle. So our Q3 is 15 over 2, or 7.5. So our IQR is nothing more than 7.5 minus 2.5, which does give us 5. Move on to the third one, or sorry, the fourth one. They give us this information here about smoked and non-smoked and mislabeled. And they ask us, what is the fraction of fish, or of smoked fish in the sample that were mislabeled? Okay. So let's go ahead and look at how many smoked fish do we really have. Again, these percentages, it's just number of what you want, or what interests you, over the number total. So what do we have here? We're talking about smoked fish, right? So specifically, smoked fish that are mislabeled, that's what we're interested in. And we can see here on this chart, it's just 28, right? So this would be 28. And then over the total. The total of what, though? We don't want all these fish. We're just talking about smoked fish, right? So we just want to add up the categories in the smoked column. So we have 28 that are mislabeled and 8 that were properly labeled. So that makes for a total of 36. So our total is actually 36 here. So we write that in, and our proportion or percentage is just 28 divided by 36. You type that into your calculator, and you should come up with 0.77 repeating. If you haven't seen this bar, this means 0.777. It goes on forever. So we're looking for, you might have rounded your answer to something like this, 0.778. That works too. Or leave it as 0.77. Totally fine. You should, okay, and on to the last one. We want to find the median for this data. Zero and 9. First things first, we have to put this in order. So let's see, we've got -9. That's the smallest one. All right, let's see. The next smallest is -2. See, the next smallest is -1. Then 0. Then we have 4, 6, and then the last one's 9. Okay, so now that we have these things in order, we're just looking for the middle one, right? The median is nothing more than the middle. So we can see that crossing these things out, we do have a middle here, and it's 0. So that would be the median of the set. So do remember to put these things in order. So that's pretty much all of it then. I hope that helps then. Good luck, and I'll see you on the next lecture.